Hello, it's nice to be here. Over the next 7 weeks I'm going to introduce you to some of the animals that share my home and hopefully help you to look after some of yours. This week we're going to look at Molly, who is a cockatoo. She's a citron-crested cockatoo. Molly has a very long lifespan. In fact, she can live to up to the age of 60, so she's going to be around for a lot more years yet. She does make a lot of noise, so if you're considering having a cockatoo in your home, you must remember this. She can upset a lot of very close neighbours. They're very expensive to buy, so you're going to have to save up an awful lot of pocket money. And there are lots of different types. In fact, when you think of a cockatoo, you always think of a white one, but there are some black ones. Now, if you want either a male or a female cockatoo, it's quite easy in most of the birds to tell the difference. As you see Molly, she's a ladybird and she's got brown eyes, and the males have black eyes. Now, Molly's covered in feathers, and the feathers are very, very important to birds. In fact, on the table here, I've got some feathers that Molly lost when she was molting last time. They do this quite often. They lose their feathers and replace them with new ones. And as you can see, when a bird preens, they zip up their feathers, they run their beaks along like that and zip them up. And if they're in good condition, they'll stay nicely tight together, and this will keep them warm, and this is very important. To make sure that Molly has good feathers and bones, food's very, very important. And on the table in front of me, I've got quite a selection of the sort of food that Molly's given in any week. First of all, here we've got the standard basic parrot diet, which is a mixture of all the different kinds of seeds you can get in a pet shop, including peanuts and sunflower seeds, lots of different varieties. And then the next thing here, which may look a little strange, is just a slice of wholemeal bread. But that's very nice, and Molly loves that with jam on. The next dish, we've got things in that you'd actually buy for dogs. But Molly really enjoys destroying these things. She can get through one of those in no time at all. That's a dog chew and dog biscuits, and they all add a variety to Molly's diet. At this end of the table, we've got a selection of fruit and vegetables, and this of course can change depending on what time of the year it is. The main thing when you're giving vegetables and fruit to your animals is to make sure that they're very fresh. If you think about it, when birds live in the wild, they go out and they pick something off a tree, and it couldn't be any fresher than that. So if someone's been very kind and gives you some mouldy old things to give to your birds, thank them very much and then just throw them away. I never give anything old to Molly, or she'd have an upset tummy in no time at all. Now here on the table we've got different vitamin supplements that you can add to the food to make sure that the diet's completely balanced. That's just a vitamin powder, that's very good, and you can sprinkle that over the fruit, and then different drops to put in the water so to keep her feathers in good condition. This little dish here doesn't look very interesting, but it's one of the most important things that you can give to any bird. When they eat, they haven't got teeth like we've got, and so they need something to help them to grind up the food. So what a bird does is it swallows grit. This is special mineral grit, and this is bought in the pet shop especially for your birds. The bird will take this down and it'll hold it in what forms the stomach in a bird, and they'll grind up the seed with the grit, and that helps them to digest. This here you might recognise if you've got a budgerigar. This is cuttlefish bone, and this is a very important source of calcium. Now Molly can get through this extremely quickly. In fact, Molly can eat one of these in 30 seconds. But she'll waste a lot, but she'll eat a lot, and it's very, very good for forming strong beaks, beaks, claws and bones. Now, on the table here we've got two different types of perchers that you'll see in one of the cages that I keep my birds in. That's the ordinary smooth kind. When you buy a parrot cage in the shop, you'll have this kind of perch in it. Now that's fine, as long as it's one sort of perch and you then add this sort of perch in with it. You see, this one is just an ordinary tree branch, and as you can see, it's different thicknesses. It's very important that the bird can hold the perch in different places and get proper exercise. And not only does she exercise her feet, but she'll chew all this. You see, she's had a go at this piece already, and that keeps her beak in very good condition. You don't only need to give them that, you can give them a great big lump of wood like this, and she'll take absolutely ages to destroy that. The cage we've got Molly in is just a travelling cage. It's not the one she lives in all the time. In fact, Molly actually lives on a branch. She doesn't have a cage. She's a free-flying bird. She can go where she chooses. She doesn't make a mess anywhere. She's very well trained. You can see in the bottom of the cage we've got sand, and that's just to keep it clean. It's easy to clean. You can change that every day. This is a water spray, And we use this to keep Molly's feathers in condition. I just give her a little squirt now and then, and that encourages her to bathe properly. And if her feathers get in a really bad way, I can use this special bird spray, and that keeps her nice and clean. Well, that's about as much as you need to know about cockatoos. Now let me tell you a story about one of Molly's cousins who lives in an aviary in the zoo. It all started the other day when the head keeper decided he'd give a silver drinking cup to the best singers in the zoo. There was great excitement. All the birds talked about nothing else. Even the important-looking birds, like the macaws and the parrots, thought they'd like to win the silver drinking cup, though they realised there was not much of a chance of them doing so, as they had voices like foghorns. Have you ever heard one? They're very loud and not very nice. I can't imagine anyone with a voice like that winning a song competition, can you? Very soon the birds started to practice. "I reckon them canaries will win," said the head keeper to his mate. "They certainly have got lovely voices." "I think you're right," said his mate. Unfortunately, a little sparrow on a branch heard this conversation and flew off as fast as his wings would take him to the canaries and told them what the keepers had said. The canaries were filled with pride. They preened their feathers, stuck out their chests, and the leader said to the cockatoos in the next aviary, "You might as well stop practicing. It's certain the canaries are going to win the silver cup. And let's face it, you chaps make a ghastly din. After all, you're not really songbirds, you know." The cockatoos were very put out. The canaries had always been rather stuck up about their singing, and it's quite true, cockatoos don't really sing very well. "The trouble is," said Bill Featherweight, the choir leader, "that unless we cockatoos have something to imitate, we aren't very good. And we've got parrots on one side and they can't sing. And it's no good imitating them. It's no good imitating the canaries, or they'll call us copycats. We've got to find someone else to imitate." "Well, we won't find anyone here," said Bertie, Molly's cousin, the smallest of all the cockatoos. "Would you like me to wriggle out under the netting, and I'll see if I can hear any good songs anywhere?" "Good idea," said Bill Featherweight. "If you hear a good song, learn it and come back and teach us." Bertie wriggled under the netting when the keeper was having his lunch, and soon he was flying over the town, listening carefully to every sound in case it should be a good song. At first he only heard nasty noises, like motor horns and train whistles and the roar of the traffic. He flew over a record shop, but there was an orchestra playing at the time. Well, good imitators though cockatoos are, Bertie wouldn't quite imagine them making noises like a piano, drums and a guitar, so he flew on. He flew over the opera house and heard a beautiful song, but it was in a foreign language, Italian actually. He thought it would be too difficult, so he flew on. He flew over a school, and as he did so, he heard someone singing. He flew down to the window, and there inside were about 20 very young boys and girls having a singing lesson. Bertie sat on the windowsill. It was a sweet song called Nellie the Elephant. Luckily, the children were just learning the words, so the teacher sang it over and over again. Bertie decided it was just right for the cockatoos, so he set about learning the words and the tune. Cockatoos can imitate words and voices, you know. It was almost dark when he got back to the zoo. "How did you get on?" asked Bill Featherweight. "I've got the very song," said Bertie, and he sang it. Very quietly, mind you, so the canaries wouldn't hear. "Wonderful," breathed the other cockatoos. They started choir practice the very next morning. The canaries were so busy practicing their own bird song, they didn't take any notice, except to call over once, "Why do you bother? Even the keeper thinks we'll win. After all, canaries are the best singers in the whole world." The cockatoos went on practicing. By the day of the competition, they were word perfect. And not only that, because Bertie had learnt it from the children, he taught all the cockatoos to sing it like the teacher. So the whole effect, as cockatoos are good imitators, was exactly like humans singing. The competition went with a swing, and soon it was quite clear that the canaries were by far the best singers. But this was before the cockatoos had their turn. When they started their song, all the birds were amazed. There was an uproar. "We didn't know you could sing real words," they said. As for the keepers, they were delighted, and they gave the silver cup to the cockatoos at once. "You're by far the best," said the head keeper. "Nobody else thought of singing a real song. I declare the silver cup has been won by the cockatoos." And there's an honourable mention to the canaries for a very good try. Well, the canaries were very put out indeed. In fact, they wouldn't speak to the cockatoos for a whole day. However, the cockatoos said the canaries could have a turn with a silver cup if they really wanted to. So the canaries got over their huff and made friends again. But it all goes to show, doesn't it, that pride goes before a fall. And that's exactly what happened to the canaries. There, that's the end of the story, and it's time for me to go. But I'll be back next week, so don't forget to join me, will you? Bye-bye for now.